Eastern PA Weather 30 Meteorologist Bobby Martrich here with your outlook for October 4th, 2016. For your Tuesday, we're going to have high pressure that's going to be up here in southeastern Canada. It's going to start nudging down to the southwest. It's a pretty strong high pressure here. It's going to be in control of our weather through the middle part of the week and actually into the latter part of the week as well. But it's going to start nosing down to the southwest a little bit. When it does that, you're going to get an onshore flow developing, like an east-northeast wind, and it will be just enough of a wind that I think you're going to have an increase in cloud cover today. Not a totally cloudy day, but I do think, unless you're closer to the shore points, but I think you will be dealing with mostly cloudy conditions and maybe just a few peaks of sun. A cloud-dominated day, I should say, because you've had that marine flow, onshore flow coming in, and that's all responsible. The high pressure up here that's nosing down is responsible for that. So that will occur today, but I do think once this high gets established over the region, and here's a look at later Tuesday. You can see this the periphery of the high starting to nose down here. Here's the outer part of the high pressure here. High pressure getting established now over Maine or in the Gulf of Maine. So the further southwest it gets, the less clouds you get into. So then the cloud cover will be down in this area here once this starts nosing down. So once we get into the overnight period, I do think you start thinning out with those clouds a little bit. And then as this high gets established here on Wednesday, and again on Thursday, we should have mostly sunny skies. Here's that high pressure right over top of the area as we get into late Wednesday and Thursday. So we should have mostly sunny skies to deal with both of those days, and just pretty pleasant, near normal temperatures, maybe slightly above, but overall pretty nice conditions that we're expecting during this time frame. And I'm going to move this ahead now to Thursday. You can see high pressure still right over top of the area. So this is a strong ridge in place here. This is also helping to dictate Matthew a little bit. This should start coming into the picture toward the end of the week here. We should start getting Hurricane Matthew coming through the Bahamas and starting making its way up toward the southeastern U.S. coastline. The question is, does it make landfall on the southeastern U.S. coastline? The GFS has been consistently showing impacts to the Carolinas directly, and then taking a path kind of up in this direction. I'll show you this in a minute, but it has implications of whether or not we will get rain in this area and some remnant rain and wind, and heavy rain at that. A lot of it's going to be predicated on this trough axis coming in here, and I'll show you that. So let me just go forward a little bit and show you as we get into Friday. Here's the high pressure still established over the area. Still a mostly sunny day we're expecting on Friday with the high pressure still in control, but that starts to move off to the east a little bit. Now you see Hurricane Matthew coming to the picture here. Here is early Saturday morning, and now this is off the GFS. It shows a landfall right somewhere between Myrtle Beach and Wilmington, North Carolina. Still is a hurricane at this point, and at the same time you see this in the northwestern part of the picture here. You can just start seeing a little bit here. This is the showers and storms in association with a cold front. And behind this cold front is a trough axis. Okay, so that's going to bring us cooler weather next week and actually below normal temperatures next week for our area. But there's some timing differences with this, because this eventually will help to guide Matthew either out to sea entirely, or it may interact with it. Now, the GFS is suggesting this is going to interact, and so is the Canadian model and some of the short range models. So what that does, instead of just coming east as a cold front is still situated back here at this point. Here's your cold front. Area low pressure up in the Great Lakes is separate from Matthew, but here's Matthew over the outer banks of North Carolina. So what you have here, even though this thing will start steering its way offshore and you won't have a direct impact here, at least it's not modeled to have a direct impact in this area, by interacting with its trough axis, it would enhance rainfall in this area right here. So you would have a tropical connection with Matthew, not a direct hit, but you will have some very heavy rainfall potential. And you would also have an increased wind potential with this. Now, there's a lot of ifs yet, because we still don't know what's going to happen once we get out in time here. But here's the GFS showing this offshore, not making a direct impact in Jersey or anywhere, anything like that. No Sandy type thing here. But at the same time, you can see the very heavy rain that the GFS has, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches, if this is correct. Now, the European model is showing a completely different scenario. As a matter of fact, that it doesn't even make landfall. It actually comes up close to North Carolina, has very strong impacts for that area. But then this thing heads east like this. Okay, so by heading east, well, actually it turns a little bit more east-northeast. Okay, by doing that, staying far enough offshore, we are high and dry here. Maybe a few showers right along the immediate shore points, and that's it. Now, there's big differences between the GFS and European models. There's been speculation about which one is correct, and it all comes down to how it's handling the trough. And to look at that, we have to look up the upper levels. This is up at 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet up. Here's the GFS when it's over the Outer Banks of North Carolina, showing Matthew sitting in this position. Here's the trough coming in. The leading edge of this trough on the GFS, let me get to that correct image here. The leading edge of the trough is right about here, so it's close enough that it can interact and start pulling in energy between, or linking the energy between the two. And by doing that, as we move this a little bit forward, you can see that interacting here with Matthew. Even though this is offshore, it's still pulling in that tropical feed and giving us that heavy rain over this area. And then it wraps up and heads rapidly northeast as the trough begins to capture it up here in southeastern Canada. On the European model, same time frame, they stay completely separate. And the European model sitting here does not make landfall in North Carolina, but it still impacts the shoreline very greatly. And then it starts to drift out in this direction, further east, and then it heads up like this, okay, when the trough finally grabs it. But the trough is a lot slower on the European model than the GFS is. So if that is the case, and the European model is in fact slower than the GFS in terms of what time it is, I mean, as far as the GFS is concerned, the GFS is already up here at this point with Matthew, whereas the European model is still hanging back here. So there's some timing differences between the two, and it's all timing between this trough and whether or not this interacts with this trough. And right now you can see the European model, the same time frame, misses the connection with this trough, and that allows it to escape eastward. So we don't know what's going to happen past past the point when it gets up here in the Bahamas. This is going to be Saturday morning. It's going to be somewhere between here and right here. Okay, that's where it's going to be Saturday morning, somewhere between those two areas. That's as far as we know. Okay, after that point, it could just do one of these numbers where it comes close to the Florida coastline here and South Carolina coastline and does what the European model does and heads it out in this direction like this, or we can get another track like the GFS has it, where it comes again close to the coastline here, makes landfall here near Myrtle Beach or Wilmington, North Carolina, and heads up to the Outer Banks and heads out northeast like this. But by doing that and being a little bit faster, it interacts with this trough, and then we get heavy rain. So a lot of things to be decided yet. We're going to be discussing this in the premium forum, updating models as they come in. We'll have a model discussion every single day leading up to this, but with no immediate threat to our area, so none of the public discussions will happen just yet. But this is about as close as I can give you to free information. Other than that, we'll be discussing in the EPAWA premium forum. If you're not a member, make sure you click on the My Pocket Meteorologist My Pocket Meteorologist image on the front page of our website. It'll take you right there, and you can sign up for that and be a part of that discussion. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Martrich. That is your outlook for October 4th, 2016. Have a great Tuesday.